Welcome back to the Active Life Podcast. I'm Dr. Sean Pastuch. I'm your host, and today we're going to recap last week's episode with Active Life professional candidate Stacey Watts. The reason I wanted to have Stacey on the podcast is because she represents exactly the person who most of the time come to us at Active Life and tell us that what we say is not only possible but is happening is impossible where they are. If you listened to the episode with Stacey, what you would have heard her say was, I thought he was just some slick-talking New Yorker who didn't understand how things work where I'm from. On the podcast, Stacey talked about her accent and her dialect being something that she believes hurts her credibility living in small-town Alabama. Well, good thing for Stacey is that it does work where she is. Her dialect and her accent, in my opinion, is something that makes her uniquely her. She shouldn't change it at all. She should lean into it, if anything. And her book of business is full. In fact, Stacey's book of business has picked up so much over the last year that she's been able to build a full gym in her backyard on her property that she covered and is now putting one wall up so she can have indoor-outdoor space every day of the year. Stacey is exactly the example that we set out to help create when we started Active Life, when we started teaching coaches how to do this stuff. It's very easy to look at where you are and to believe that it's not possible here. You look at the population in your town, you say there's only 4,000 people who live in this town. You look at the income and you say there's only $30,000 per household of income in this town. And then you look at what we would tell you to charge for personal training sessions, $100 a session in a town like that. And you would say to yourself, this guy hasn't ever been here. And you would be right. I haven't been where you are, but Stacey has, and countless others have. And what I want to cover on today's show is how Stacey was able to convert her own beliefs that were limiting about what she'd be able to do into a thriving business that is now completely full and unable to take on any new clients, despite the fact that she lives in small town Alabama and trains them out of her backyard in a gym that she built. If you listened to the podcast, what I think is most important about Stacey that you should take away from it is that despite the fact that she had some limiting beliefs around the possibility that this could work where she is, she stepped through her own doubt and decided that she was going to give it everything that she possibly could to prove herself wrong before she decided that she was actually right, and she had to find a career doing something that she didn't love doing. She's a smart woman. She's dedicated, and she puts a lot of really hard work in. What she did wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it was simple. And the principles that she followed are what made it simple. Let's start here. When you're thinking about building your own business, whether it's online or in person, too many people find themselves in the situation where they're thinking about what they would do to build a big business. What would I do to build a business that services a lot of people? You don't need a lot of people to run a business that takes care of the life that you want to live. Let's take, for example, a $10,000 a month business. Let's just pretend that $10,000 a month is the business that you want to run. There are a lot of ways to get to $10,000 a month. You could get yourself 100 clients at $100. And then you look at your work week and you say, well, maybe I want to work 40 hours. I'm making that up. Well, if you have 100 clients and you have 40 hours, what that means is that every single week you have what? That's 100 divided by 40 is going to be about 2.5. So you have right about 23 minutes per month per client that you're going, per week per client that you're going to be able to spend to satisfy their needs for $100 a month. You could say, I want to make $10,000 a month with 1,000 clients. Well, then they only need to pay you $10 a month. You could say, I want to be able to do it with 20 clients. Okay, well, then they need to pay you $500 a month each. There's a lot of ways to get to the same number. It's the wrong question. How much money you want to make is the wrong first question. The right first question is, who do you want to help and what do you want to help them do? That's the right first question. Who do you want to help and what do you want to help them do? Stacey got really clear on that. She found herself really enjoying working in a physical therapy clinic as a physical therapy assistant, not a credentialed physical therapy assistant. She was just assisting the physical therapist. And she really enjoyed the kind of work that she was doing there. So much so that she wanted to help the people who graduated physical therapy advance in their physical well-being after the fact. So she knew what she wanted to do was help people reclaim their physical freedom and therefore gain the confidence that they needed to be able to live the lives that they wanted to live to be fulfilled. That is the purpose and the relationship that she chose. She had clarity around it. She wasn't marketing after she made that decision. She wasn't talking to people anymore who wanted to get flat tummies, round butts, and big shoulders. Their necks muscle up, squatting more weight. None of her conversation was ever around that kind of stuff. She knew who she was talking to. She knew what she was talking to them about. This is the part of the business game where you're thinking about your avatar client, but you don't have to think about they're between this age and this age. They have this color hair, this color skin. They like these sports. They're from this kind of a town. They shop at these stores. You don't need to get that deep. What do you want to help people overcome? Start there. The next thing that Stacey was able to do is ask herself, okay, well, how much money do I want to be able to make servicing this kind of client? And if I want to make that kind of money, and I only want to do it with this many clients, how much money does each client need to pay me for me to be making the appropriate amount of money? She decided she wanted 12 clients. 12 clients is her full. When she backed into the amount of money she wanted to make per month, she knew she could give 12 people the attention that she wanted to give them so that she could go to bed at night proud of the work that she does and wake up in the morning excited to do it again. And so that she could get referrals from her clients from the amazing work that she did for them. Simple second step. It's another decision. Now, the harder part is, how do we take a decision like that and turn it into a reality? How do you go from, okay, well, yeah, Sean, that's easy. I want to work with 10 people and I want to make $1 million. Well, okay. You need to provide 10 people with at least $200,000 worth of value, because then they might each pay you $100,000 to get it. That's fairly unrealistic. And I'm all about being unreasonable. I'm even all about being unrealistic, but we need to be sure that we can actually deliver on the value that we promise to somebody. So in Stacey's case, what is the service that she's giving to people to ensure that they are extremely satisfied with what they're getting? How much does she need to charge them to be able to have 12 clients? Because that's the maximum amount of people that she believes she can give that level of service to, so that she can be free in the afternoons to spend them with her son. This is all the math that she needed to do. Then all she needs to do is tell the marketplace, this is what I do for people. This is how I do it. This is how much it costs. And instead of going through town and saying, there are 4,000 people here, nobody is going to buy this. All she needs to do is say, there are 4,000 people here. There's probably 12 who are going to buy it. 12. I want you to think about that again. Too often, there is this belief that nobody is going to buy this thing. Nobody is going to spend this kind of money. Nobody can afford this, because what you do is you look around and you say, I don't know anybody who could afford this. I don't know anybody who would afford this. And you start counting all of the heads, all the people that you know, and you look at all the gyms and you're like, they charge this, that person charges that, this person charges this, that person charges that. There's no way that anybody would be paying me for this. Then you can look at, well, is anybody doing what you're promising to do for people? When you take the active life professional education, the answer to that is no. The closest thing to it is physical therapists, and the closest thing on the other side is going to be fitness professionals. But nobody is doing for people what we teach active life professional candidates to do, which is help people restore their physical freedom dependably, repeatably, and predictably. No one else is doing that. So in Stacey's case, it was fairly easy to say, okay, well, this is what I want to be able to help people do. Active Life is the company who's going to help me do it. And when I do this, I'm going to be in a category of 1 in a town of, let's just say 4,000. I need 12 people. 12. To pay me enough money to work such that when my son gets home from school, I can be with him. That's it. That's a simple equation to do. You make it complicated when you start thinking about the tactics before you start thinking about the outcome that you want. When you start thinking about, okay, this is the avatar client. This is how my posting schedule needs to be. This is what I need to be talking about in my posts. This is what my ad campaign is going to look like. This is what my drip emails are going to look like. Do I need to find a videographer who's going to take videos of me? Do I need a photographer who's going to take photos of me? She doesn't have any of that. She doesn't have any of that. If you listen to the podcast, what you'll hear Stacey say is that what she has is a really good reputation in her town. That's it. A really good reputation and some really, really good skills that she developed. That's what it takes. Getting the reputation around town is something that doesn't happen by accident. And that is the mistake that I believe many people who are listening to this are making. It's the belief that I'm going to get this quality of client because I'm out here doing a good job. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. The way that works is you get the client by doing a good job and making sure that everybody finds out about it. And those are different. Those are different things. So what I'm urging you to understand listening to this monologue podcast is that while Stacey Watts is unique in that she's a 1 in a few 100,000 kind of person, 1 in a million kind of person. We don't need millions of those. You only need some. And you don't have to be millions of people. You only need to be 1. So while the same math is being done around the market in which you work, when you look at the market in which you work and you say, nobody here wants to do this, but then you back up and you look at it from a distance and you say, I don't need everyone to do it. I only need 0.01% of people who live here to want to do it. 0.01% of people. You realize you also don't need to be 100% of people yourself. You only need to be 1 person. And the reality is that more than 0.01% of people want to do this. And so even if there were 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 people in your town who want to do what you do, you could do it. And you could do it successfully because there are enough people who need this kind of a solution to their problem. If Stacey Watts in small town country Alabama, with a dialect that she believes she needs to change to become more credible, that I believe she needs to keep and lean into to become more unique and more recognizable, can do it, can go from 0 to full-time schedule in under 6 months. So can you. The only thing that you need to understand about it is that Stacey didn't get there by accident, and Stacey didn't get lucky. Stacey made her own luck. She prepared, she found opportunities, and luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So you can have what Stacey has. But if you want what Stacey has, you have to be willing to do what Stacey does to get it. If that sounds like something that you want to do, you know where to find me. At Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. You can head to Active Life Professional on Instagram. That's the easiest way. Let's have a talk. See you on the flip side. Turn pro. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life Podcast. Remember, if you feel inspired by our vision to humanize the healthcare industry, professionalize the fitness industry, and empower individuals to live their lives, to reclaim their physical freedom, to develop careers, helping people reclaim their physical freedom. All you need to do is head to activelifeprofessional.com, find the appropriate link that represents you, and get in contact. We'll see you there.